You have got the most technical golf simulator that I've ever seen.
Where do you put the mat when you're not going to use the thing? Essentially, a big drawbridge that I push up and pull back down again. When I put the two of them next to each other, I just didn't think the data was anywhere near close enough. I'm a great believer in if you're practicing with some kind of purpose.
I want to get to the bar and the couch and the cinema room stage at some point. Dave, welcome to the Show Us Your Golf Simulator podcast. Thank you very much for coming on. First of all, can you just tell us whereabouts in the world are you and how long have you had a golf simulator for?
Yeah, well, I am in Newcastle upon Tyne, and I've had this particular golf simulator for probably when did I finish it? I think it was in April this year. Before that, I'd started sort of small with a little marquee, party marquee as it was called at the time, like a 6 metre by 4 metre thing.
So yeah, the room that you're in now, mate, that is a purpose-built room. It's not a marquee, and it's in your garden. What launch monitor are you using?
It's a Skytrack. One of my mates, he had a Skytrack, and he also got the Mevo Plus. But generally speaking, for me, the Skytrack for the money always came out like as the obvious choice for me. The Mevo Plus I thought was pretty good, but obviously again you need a lot of space. I do actually have the space for a Mevo Plus in here, but when I had a go of it, I just wasn't impressed with like some of the numbers, the driver numbers and stuff like that didn't seem to be great. What I want to do is use it to dial in me wedges and get me irons and all that kind of stuff. And more importantly, just like over the winter, keep the swing going when it's tipping it down outside and you don't fancy it and stuff like that.
So what are the dimensions of your garden room?
Yeah, so the internal height's 3 meters, which meant I had to get planning permission, obviously. The finished internal size, I've forgotten what it is after I've put the cupboards and stuff in. But it's basically 8 meters by 4.5 meters.
So yeah, you have got plenty of room for a Mevo Plus if you wanted to get a radar-based launch monitor. But like you were saying, you just preferred the Skytrack. You trusted the data a little bit more.
Basically, yeah. I say nothing against the Mevo Plus. It just wasn't for me when I put the two of them next to each other. I just didn't think the data was anywhere near close enough.
What did you think about the like shot delay? Because with the Mevo Plus, it's quite instantaneous, isn't it? There's no real delay. But obviously with the Skytrack, you've got 2 or 3 seconds that you wait until you see your shot. Did that bother you? Did that not affect your decision at all?
Honestly, Mitch, in all honesty, I I see lots of people talking about the delay and all that kind of stuff, and they're getting on their wick. And like, in truth, I really don't understand why it does, because I'm a great believer in if you're practicing with some kind of purpose. You're not just rifling ball after ball after ball. And if you want to do that, truth be told, it's not really it's not really going to do you a huge amount of favours. I personally don't think, but each their own at the end of the day. So for me, I quite like the delay actually, because like you hit your shot, you then sort of get your ball back to where it is. By the time I put the ball back on the red spot, I look at the screen, I can see what the shot's doing. So it genuinely doesn't bother me in the slightest. It kind of almost fits in with the routine that I end up working with when I'm doing it.
So your actual mat that you're hitting your golf balls off, do you know what kind of mat is it? Where did you get that from?
The mat is it Net Sports?
Oh, Net World Sports.
Net World Sports, that's the one. Yes, it's from them. So again, what I got the actual turf mat itself, and I also got the heavy duty rubber, because obviously mine's going onto a tile floor here. I didn't want to go all over the place.
How much did it set you back? That
I think the mat itself was not inexpensive. Like I think from memory, the mat I think was about 200 quid, and I've got a feeling the back and it's the rubber backing. Probably about the same sort of price, I think, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, they're not cheap, are they? Like to get a decent hitting mat, like you've got to spend the money, haven't you?
This mat's great, mate. It's really good. It is excellent. I mean, I can sort of share the details with you after here, but honestly, I genuinely wouldn't want a different mat, because it punishes you when you sort of practicing and stuff. If you hit a couple of fat, it takes it off, but doesn't it doesn't sicken you sort of thing to you, sort of to the point where you're getting sore wrists or anything like that. But it's just so hard wearing. It's just really good, and it puts a good strike on the ball. It does feel quite realistic.
You mentioned about your Enclosure So did you say that it was like the pipes, the metal frame pipes that you've got to build your enclosure?
Yeah, so there's a few companies online that sell the stuff, but basically you get different size pipes, and you then just get these galvanized corner sections and T sections and short T's, long T's, all this kind of fancy stuff. But the only downside is that if you haven't got the gear, you have to buy like a metal chop saw. Because obviously you're cutting through metal bars, so you've got to buy a saw for doing that. But I quite like the occasional DIY toy and all that kind of stuff. So just added that to the
Tell me.
DIY arsenal.
I can
Um,
tell me.
so,
You're building
uh,
everything DIY. I love it. Do you have any sort of protection around the metal pipes then? Because obviously, like if you're hitting wedges or something, and it might hit the crossbar at the top, and you don't want it pinging back at you.
you can't hit them. So if you imagine I've got the stud wall, and essentially if you imagine basically cutting out a big square, which essentially is then the doors that will then open up out of the way. What this frame is, the frame's then behind that, but slightly bigger than the square. If that
Right.
makes sense.
Okay.
And then
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and then it's actually faced with the actual screen itself. So therefore, if you imagine you've got a square that's not that big, you're hitting into like as a tunnel. The actual frame and the actual hitting screen is bigger than the actual opening, so you can't actually
Wow.
physically hit anywhere.
That's a really interesting way of doing it. I've not actually seen anybody do it like that before. I don't think so. Yeah, like there's no risk of any balls bouncing back off your frame at all. There is there?
No, definitely not. I mean, what I have got around the outside, there's like essentially a timber frame, which is just if you imagine if you open your door in a regular house, you've got like the
Yeah.
architrave going round. So what I've got in here is like architrave going round here as well. But the reality is that where the doors open up, the doors kind of stick out slightly from that, so they kind of set back. So you never ever get ricochet coming back at all. It's worked really well.
Great.
And then obviously I've kind of got like a little flap sort of thing at the top, which then hinges up just to give like the one for these sky shots. I don't think I've ever had one up there yet, to be honest. But so that's worked quite well as well. But yeah, the whole thing was kind of just based upon the sizes that I had and the stuff I could work with regards to the doors.
Yeah, it sounds like obviously it's a very bespoke simulator that you've
Mm.
built to meet your needs, but it sounds like you've put a hell of a lot of thought into the planning behind this.
Trying to explain it is quite difficult to sort of not make it sound overly complicated because it sounds like you've got to have the vision of what you're trying to achieve. So it is quite tricky to be honest. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I've got little sketches of the whole thing and all that kind of stuff. So I don't mind helping anybody that wants a bit of help.
What I'm going to come to next is we're going to talk because you use a projector, don't you? You project an image onto your
Yeah.
impact screen. So we'll start off with the impact screen. Whereabouts did you get that from? And I've noticed it's quite like it's not a wide screen impact screen, is it? It's quite a narrow screen that you've got going on. So first of all, what dimensions are your screen, and where did you get your impact screen from?
So the impact screen is 3 meters by 3 meters. But like I mentioned before, some of that's kind of hidden away behind it.
Yeah.
So the aperture itself it's probably, the aperture is just over 2 meters wide, and it is about 2.5 meters high.
And the quality of your impact screen that you got from Golf Bay, you're happy with that? It's nice quality, is it?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's the one where it's apparently I think it's classed as HD or something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I've got something in the background here, just sort of playing and stuff like that. And the screen quality is great. And again, for what I'm using it for, it's spot on. I mean, when I mentioned before about the cinema room, I've got a separate cinema screen for that, which is like a wide screen. So that's another screen that comes down once this is all put away. It comes down in front of the cupboard rather than in the cupboard.
One more question on your screen. How do you hang it then? So you've obviously got your steel frame. Are you using like elastic bungees or tarp
Yeah.
clips? How are you hanging your screen?
Yeah, all of that's just like the top clips to pull it around, and then I've got a mixture of sort of the bungees and all that kind of stuff going on. So it's kind of like wrapped down and under on the floor, and then wrapped across the top, and then wrapped around at the sides as well. Because again, the frame itself's like just a little bit bigger than the aperture, and then the screen itself's even bigger again. Which, if I had the time again, I suppose what I could do was make the actual steel frame even bigger, and then that way I could just put the actual the hitting screen onto it as like a side of a trampoline sort of thing. So it's like wrapped all the way around, dead easy. Because one thing that was a bit of a pain with this is because I was limited for the sizes inside the cupboard. Let's say, because I always class it as like a big cupboard basically. I was limited with the size that I had available inside there for the frame and stuff. So then I had to like kind of like wrap it around, and obviously you know yourself, you can't cut these things down when it comes. You're kind of stuck with the size of them. But it's fine because like anything that's a little bit messy, let's say, it's completely invisible.
Hidden away.
You can't see it. It's hidden away. It's like essentially in a cupboard.
Okay, so onto your projector then. What model, what make projector do you have?
ViewSonic Pro.
ViewSonic.
8400 it is. I had two different projectors. I got one, I'll not lie, I got one a bit cheaper off Amazon at one point to try it, and it was great in the house. As soon as I came in the garden room with bifold doors, it was just absolutely tragic. I mean, you could barely bloody see anything on it when the light was shining. It's great here. I've got the lights down a little bit here tonight, sort of thing, but the screen, I mean, I've got the lights, I mean, obviously you can see me, I can see it's quite bright, can't you? But the screen I've got here is just as good as watching the TV. So right. I think it's like 4,000 lumens, I think it is. But to be fair, that, I tell you what, like, I know you've done a couple of videos on projectors and stuff, but that can be a bit of a minefield as far as when people are actually claiming what the lumens really are compared to what they actually are. Because like the one I got from Amazon was claiming to be something a hell of a lot more dramatic, but I think that was more to do with the lamp itself rather than the actual projection. However that works, I don't know. But I got this one, and it's been absolutely superb. But again, by the way, I got it on eBay. Someone was just blogging it, and I got it. I think it was I think I paid about 120 quid or something for it.
Oh wow, that sounds really good.
It's been absolutely superb. I don't know how much they go for brand new. I think they're a few hundred quid brand new when they were available.
Mate, they're so expensive to get a decent projector, isn't it? So, mate, what a deal that is, getting it for about 100 something quid from eBay. So, and like, in terms of like the lumens, like you were saying, I mean, I've never actually had one of the like cheaper ones on Amazon, like you were saying, but from what I can gather, it sounds like there's lumens and then there's ANSI lumens or something.
Yeah.
And
that's right,
what you need to look out for is the ANSI lumens, because a lot of like Amazon projectors or whatever claim to have, I don't know, 6,000 lumens or 8,000 lumens, but really they're not as powerful as these ANSI lumens. So it's you've kind of learnt the hard way with that, but it's a good bit of experience, I guess, you know now, and you eventually got yourself a good deal. You've got your mat, you've got your screen, you've got your projector. I'm presuming you use the SkyTrack software every now and again for a bit of wedge practice, but when it comes to playing golf courses, so proper golf simulation, what is your golf simulation software of choice?
Yeah, GC Pro. I wasn't that bothered about playing many golf courses, and then I then got GC Pro, and I was just blown away by how good it was. It's actually quite a cool thing on there. I don't know if you've ever used the skills. I can't remember, skills test or skills challenge or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not as tailorable, which I wish it was, as the one that's built into SkyTrack. But it is still quite cool, and it puts like a little bit of pressure on your game. And I think the one thing that's good about it is I think the longest iron I think is like 180, I think, and then I think after that it then asks you to hit a driver. And the majority of it's kind of like probably from like 60 yards to about 120. So that's where I spend most of my time, more kind of like practicing in that sense rather than playing, if you know what I mean. The only thing which I would like to see a bit more in there is like some kind of ability to sort of tailor like the practice side of it, you know, to set your distances for your irons that you hit, then practice hitting the same iron and all that kind of stuff on the range. But as far as graphics and stuff, it's great. I mean, even to be honest, I know I did actually have the game improvement package with SkyTrack. I let that lapse to see what would happen, so I had a feeling I wouldn't be able to then use JS Pro and stuff, but actually it's been fine. So I don't have to actually renew my annual subscription or anything.
That's another question that I get asked quite a lot. Like, do you need the game improvement package on SkyTrack to play GS Pro? And the answer is no. You can just use it with the basic package, which again saves you some more money. But yeah, what you were saying about the in terms of GS Pro and how it could improve further. I'm with you 100% on that. If GS Pro can not adapt, but just expand its like game improvement software options, that'll be like an absolute game changer completely. I think that'll just blow everything else out of the water in terms of even just like your SkyTrack software or Foresight software, whatever you're using. GS Pro can come up with some game improvement stuff. It'll be absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, using GS Pro, we need quite a powerful computer behind us. What kind? Have you got a PC? Have you got a laptop? And what graphics card are you using?
It's just a custom built computer. I didn't build it myself. I've got a friend who does that sort of thing. So he was kind enough to build us a computer. The graphics card it came with. I'm trying to remember what it was originally. I think it might have been like a 970 or something, and it was okay. It was quite good, but when I started I'll tell you what it was great for when I was just practicing stuff like that. Ironically, all the things I've just said I do more of, it was perfectly appropriate for that. But then when I then started playing on a few courses and thinking, wow, how cool is GS Pro? This is great. And I started getting into that. And I thought, I've got to get a better graphics card. So that's when I got the upgraded graphics card. And I got a Zotac GeForce RTX 2070 Super Mini 8 gigabyte. Just rolls off the tongue.
A 2070 graphics card, mate. That's the main thing. Yeah. So you have no problems with that then, running any course?
None at all. I mean, I've got I can have all the settings on GS Pro to, kind of super graphics or whatever it's classed as, super, all that kind of stuff, and it just never flaggers. It's great. That was just I went online. I did like some comparisons. Again, to be fair, by the way, a good tip from your website on that when you did the links that you had you did one a while ago about building a computer, and there's a couple of different links to websites. I went on one that you do the comparison side by side. So I did that with quite a few to see which was best, and then this one came out. No, to be honest, all I did was I went to kind of find the best ones, and then kept going down a grade to work out, well, am I losing much to then save the money? Am I losing much to then save the money? And I kind of got down to a point where I was like, well, okay, I haven't got a problem spending that much, so I'll go with that option. And see what I can get. And again, I just got to use one where people are always upgrading their PCs, aren't they? A lot of these gamers who want like absolutely awesome graphics for like just sitting like sort of right in front of their screens and doing the gaming and stuff. I'm not a gamer in that sense. This is the only thing I actually use a computer for at home, to be honest with you, is the sim. So it was perfect for me. And I must admit, I would massively recommend it. It was great. The 2070 was absolutely perfect.
So did you get it second hand, are you saying?
Yeah, it's got off eBay. It was round about the 200 quid mark.
Yeah, see, it's another great bit of advice that. Now, I did exactly the same as you in terms of like that website that you're talking about. I think it's called User Benchmark, and I did the exact same as you. I looked at like the recommended graphics card, and I went down a bit to try and save some money, do it on a budget, and I ended up buying it new. And I think at the time I was a bit scared. I was a bit worried about buying a second-hand graphics card because, in all honesty, I didn't know anything about them at that point. But now that I do know a bit more, and like obviously gamers are using graphics cards, like you say, they always want the best graphics card. I think you're on a 2070? I think you said you were on, and they're now up to like 4090. So you've got different new series, new models. So these gamers are wanting the brand new graphics cards for the best improved performance and all that. They're going to get rid of their old ones, and there's probably not a lot wrong with them. Like I say, I don't know a lot about all the gaming side of things and how much they deteriorate and stuff. But to pick something up like that, you're probably going to get an amazing deal, just like you did with your projector, and it's a great little money-saving tip.
I didn't script at all in the room because it was always going to be a permanent feature for the house. But as far as things like the projector and stuff, I wasn't 100% sure how much I was going to be absolutely committed to wanting the quality and the graphics card and stuff. So it was just kind of spending good money on stuff that was essentially permanent, and then just like kind of keeping it with budget on the other things.
Do you want to build a home golf simulator but don't know where to start? Well, this free downloadable guide, it's got everything you need to know. From launch monitors to impact screens, gaming PCs to projectors. Whether you're just starting out or looking to upgrade your existing setup, this is your go-to guide designed to cater for a wide variety of budgets. Now, all the research has been done for you, and I've even put prices next to each individual item so you can work out exactly how much it's going to cost. Right, to download this ebook, just click the link that's in the description below this video. Pop your email address in the box and the guide will be sent directly to your inbox. If it doesn't arrive, just check your spam folder. It'll probably be in there.
Now we're going to come to the interesting bit, mate. I've kept people waiting for this, but you've mentioned before about your setup, and it's like a fold-away enclosure. You can put it away when you don't want it, when you got people around, but then you can fold it back out and you can play your golf in there. Now, you explained it a bit to me before we came on recording, but can you just explain to everybody how your fold-away golf simulator setup works? And I'll put some B-roll footage over whilst you're talking about it so people can visualise it and understand it.
The easiest way to explain it is you've basically got a drawbridge in front of the screen, because I had to have something to actually put the mat onto. To be honest, actually, everyone watching your channel will know how to make a screen. You know, it's pretty straightforward here, whether it's a permanent frame, whether it's steel, whether it's timber, whatever. That side of it, that's straightforward. The challenge that I had was where do you put the mat when you're not going to use the thing? The heavy, yeah, you can get lightweight ones, but I'm not going to start swinging my clubs on a lightweight mat on tiled floors. Well, I might do it once. But
never again.
Exactly. But because I needed to have like the rubber backing on the mat, that was obviously like heavy in itself. And then you know what them things are like to move. I mean, you go to a driving range, that's the sort of mat that I've got. You go to the driving range, they're bloody heavy things. So I had to have something that I could first of all put that onto. And then I was like thinking, well, how can I hide it away? I can't roll it up, I can't do anything. So therefore I thought, well, I know what I could do. I could have essentially a big drawbridge that I push up and pull back down again. And obviously it's kind of like screwed to that. So I've got a couple of screws I've just basically screwed through the mat into the drawbridge, timber drawbridge as I call it. It screws into that when it's not being used, and then you push that whole thing up and it's just hanging there against the screen. So basically the drawbridge, as I keep referring to, if that's my screen and the drawbridge is here, it folds up that way and the hitting mat's kind of in the sandwich in the middle there, and then the doors on the outside just close onto it. The challenge that I had, and I hadn't initially thought about this when I started doing it, was the weight of the I keep referring to it as a drawbridge. People might be thinking, what the hell is he on about? But the big issue I had was that I put some luggage scales on it at one end. The bit you're going to put your fingers under and physically pick up from the floor, and it was like 80 kilos. And yeah, I could pick it up, but I thought, I'll do this 2 or 3 times, and either one, I'll put me back out, or two, I'll just get so fed up with doing it, I'll not want to do it anymore. So then I put a series of rope wires to then put like a counterweight on the inside of the cupboard. And then again, because the actual steel frame itself has got the screen on one side, and then it's sort of about that deep. So I've got this gap in the middle that you can kind of walk behind and put stuff in and things. And then in there, I've got the series of wires and pulleys, and then a great big heavy steel weight hanging down, which then acts as a counterweight. So as you pick that drawbridge up, essentially, you probably take about 25, 30 kilos to get it going. But then once the counterweight starts to come down, it's just straight up and it's no problem. And it's quite cool when you open it, because you can let it come down, it virtually comes down on its own when it's coming down, with the counterweight working the opposite way.
Well, I have to say, Dave, you have got the most technical golf simulator that I've ever seen so far. Right? And fair play to you. Like I said before, you've put so much thought into this design, and ultimately it's paid off for you, because you've got an unbelievable golf simulator room that I'm highly envious of, because I want to get to the bar and the couch and the cinema room stage at some point. So I'm very jealous of that, mate. But honestly, yeah, what a setup. And I'm sure everyone who's watching this little video will agree with how good it looks and how much effort you've put into it just to make it so bespoke to you and exactly what you need it for. So well done, mate. Well done. So you've owned a golf simulator now for a while. Do you think having a golf simulator has improved your all-round golf game?
Undoubtedly. I think if you're gonna use it purely for playing courses and stuff like that, I'm not absolutely convinced how much that will help you, other than increasing the regularity that you can otherwise play, which has got to help. But for me, like I said earlier, probably 75% of my time in here is hitting wedges. And people say that they are scoring clubs, and I couldn't agree more. And just dialing them in, where people talk about whether it's a clock system or whatever, all that kind of stuff that people talk about, whatever works for you. But just knowing those different sort of arm positions and how far you're going to hit the ball, and more importantly for me, it's the tempo. And knowing that, if you swing to a certain point, if you rush through, you're not going to hit the same distance every time. It's working on that tempo, and then just getting the confidence that that tempo, that on position, that's going to go 70 yards, a little bit further, that's going to go 90 yards, that kind of stuff. And for me, genuinely, if anyone's looking to try and improve any part of the game, and if they want to use a sim to do it, the wedges for me is absolutely critical. It's the most important part of your game when it comes to scoring, in my opinion, apart from putting, obviously.
Well, I couldn't agree anymore, mate. Like, from my experience with having a golf sim, wedges were the first thing that I noticed. So wedges, ball striking, they were the two things that I felt improved the most within the first couple of months of owning a golf sim. And then, like you say, the rest of it kind of comes naturally, I guess, working on your tempo, hitting more golf balls than you probably would hit on a normal weekly basis if you go to a driving range rather than having your home simulator. So all that sort of stuff kind of takes care of itself. But like saying, knowing your arm positions, knowing your carry distances for clubs, they're the things that have definitely helped me improve my game as well. So I'm with you 100% on that.
Yeah, I mean, like you as well, Mitch. I mean, obviously, young family and stuff like that. If you've got to spare 45 minutes, you can't really go. I mean, my golf club's it's literally like 7 minutes away in the car. So yeah, I'm really fortunate that I can just nip up there. But the reality is, if I've got 45 minutes, even though it's only 7 minutes away, I'm by the time you get there, get your shoes on, get your balls, all the rest of it, you've only got like 25 minutes, 30 minutes max at the absolute best, and you're not really going to do it, So from that point of view, it's great that you can just come in here and you've got your 45 minutes and you're hitting balls within two. So from that point of view, it's great. But also,
if you could give somebody who's just starting out one piece of advice about building their golf simulator, what advice would you give them?
If you're enjoying this video and would like to learn more about golf simulators and launch monitors, then please support the channel by hitting that like button below and subscribing to Handicap Golf. To get a 5% discount on launch monitors and all other golf simulator related products, then head over to Golf Swing Systems and use the discount code HANDICAP5 at the checkout. And if you're in the USA, definitely head over to Carl's Place for all of your golf simulator needs. I'll put all of the links that you're going to need in the description below this video.
You've got to kind of work out whether you're absolutely going to be right into it or not. Because I think what you might find is that someone watches your channel, other people's channel, and kind of thinks, I would love to have a golf simulator and stuff like that. But once you've got it, it's up to you as to how much you actually use it. Because to be brutally honest, it's practicing, and I think you've got the software to play games, which is great, and you can have a game on a course and stuff. But if you're not keen on practicing, but you love playing the game, and like whenever you got the opportunity, you wouldn't go and hit balls in the practice ground. You always go on the golf course. It might be worth just doing something like on the small side to start with, whether that's just to simply having a net in your garden and a mat, and work out how much you use. If you think, well, I'm not going to do that in the winter because it's going to be rain and I don't want to be out and that kind of stuff. That's maybe where doing something like I did, where you have like a tent or something like that, or just an area with a canopy even over the top, just to sort of keep you dry, and just, don't spend enough money to then think, well, I can't waste that money now because I spent like $2,000 on a temporary setup, which is now wasted. I'm not talking about spending that much. I'm talking about spending a few £100, just to make sure that you're into it, And then once you are convinced, you're kind of sold, then it's kind of it depends on budget, what you want to do. Whether you go to the extreme that I did and get kind of 3-for-1 type of thing, it all depends, you know what I mean, on that point. But I think making sure you are definitely going to use it, what you're going to use it for, should then dictate what your budget's going to be to start out and how we're going to set it up.
Dave, do you think a golf simulator is realistic and true to real life golf? So let me reword that. Does your golf simulator practice indoors translate to your outdoor golf game?
Only on certain parts of it. I think the limitation that you've got massively is putting and chipping. I think driving, yeah. I think irons at the greens, I'll go along with that. Wedge shots, definitely as well. I think anything where you're hitting from a pitch outwards is excellent. I think all that works. I mean, obviously playing the wind and all that kind of stuff. I don't do a great deal of that in the simulator, to be fair. So I couldn't really comment on like sort of wind golf, let's say. But certainly like bunker shots, chip shots around the green, putting and stuff. You've got to be practicing on the course. You've got to be. You can't replicate that unless you're in your back garden, physically chipping balls on the grass, sort of thing. And even then, you're not going to get the lies that you get in the golf course and the rollout on the greens and stuff like that. But yeah, I think if you want to work on your short game, you've got to ideally have a decent short game area in practice. But everything out from pitches back to the tee box, I think it definitely translates.
I think I was 12 handicap when I first got my launch monitor, and then from practicing that, I managed to get down to a 7, and I've crept back up since. I'm back on 11 now. But what I found particularly this year was, for me to get down lower to like a 7 or even lower than that, it's all about my chipping and my putting and around. And it's like, I was fine. I was decent off the tee. I am decent off the tee. I'm pretty good with my ball striking irons and stuff, but I'm not good enough to hit green in regulation all the time. So I'm often chipping, and I'm often chipping to 15 feet, whereas really I should be chipping to 5 feet and giving myself a chance of par and stuff like that. So that's definitely what I found is like simulator wise, working on wedges particularly, irons and even driver have all been great. But if you're going to get down to a single figure handicap and lower than that, you've got to be practicing out on the course, haven't you? Right, so to wrap up your simulator setup, Dave, I'm sure everyone's going to agree that it is an unbelievable setup that you've got there. If we discount the room, the garden room that you've built, and we just concentrate on your actual simulator setup, how much has that set you back altogether, would you say?
I think, well, obviously the Sky Track was a couple of grand. Obviously, I've got all these kind of materials and stuff in here for the actual Foldaway stuff that's going on. I think if I factor in things like the TV, which I think is important because that's kind of part of the system as well. I don't know, probably a couple of grand on that, and that's probably, I would say, about 4 grand. I would say, just on like the actual the things that are associated purely for the golf. And then after that, the rest of it's the building. You know, for me, that's the most critical part of it, isn't it? Your launch monitor. That's where the money is. And then after that, whether you want to spend 500 quid on the TV or just nick the one out the living room and stick that somewhere and then get a new one for the living room, you know, whatever, you know, it's just make it work, you know.
You've spoken quite a bit about your golf, and you do play outdoor golf. Do you have a golf handicap?
Yes, mate. It's 1.
Mate, I should have asked you that earlier on. I would have been able to quiz you a little bit more about data and all that sort of stuff. But it's gone now. It's gone. Brilliant. Right, Dave. So you've got a fantastic golf simulator room. Just there where you are. What is your favourite thing inside that room?
I probably said the bar, to be honest.
Brilliant, mate. All over that. Right, if you could change or upgrade one thing in your golf simulator, what would you upgrade?
You know, the way I was saying before, if that's me hitting that there and my drawbridge is kind of here and I'm standing hitting balls that way, instead of that hinging up like a big flap that way, I've seen ones where it kind of hinges like it's a fold. So like kind of,
right.
You know, it like folds up like a double fold, you know what I mean? And it kind of rolls in and rolls out. And that way it wouldn't have needed all of the counterweight and all that kind of stuff. So it would just slide straight in and slid out. The only thing about that is, of course, I would have had twice as much space because I needed somewhere to put the mat still. So I'm not sure how well that would have worked. But that's the only thing I thought, could have possibly have done that. But otherwise, mate, to be honest, it was kind of almost like 3 years in the planning. So I did have a lot of thought on what I was doing and stuff. So I'm you know, if I say so myself, I'm pretty happy with what we've achieved.
So it should be, mate. The amount of intricacies that you've got in your simulator room, I'm not surprised it took you so long to plan it and design it. You obviously use a SkyTrack as your launch monitor. If money was no object, what launch monitor would you go for?
I would say if it was no object, I would probably say a quad. I was going to be sensible then, probably say GC3, because I think that's enough, to be honest. But literally, if I had money to burn, I'll get a quad. So I just think the club and ball data is just absolutely phenomenal.
Right, who is your favourite golfer, past or present?
Oh, well, interestingly, if you'd asked us probably a year ago, I think I would have said Rory. And ask us now, I'm starting to veer towards Victor Hovland, to be honest. Yeah, he's just, his attitude's brilliant. He's always smiling. He's not controversial. He just gets on with it. He's just a happy bloke. You just, you kind of watch him and you just enjoy watching him. You know what I mean?
What do you enjoy most about owning a golf simulator?
Convenience.
Are launch monitors worth the money?
Yes.
Indoor golf or outdoor golf?
Not outdoor.
Yeah, you can't beat outdoor golf, mate. I mean, like you said there, it's the convenience of owning a golf simulator. That has got to be the coolest thing, the best thing. But in terms of substituting it for outdoor golf, mate, you can't beat the real thing, can you?
No, you can't.
Dave, thank you very much for coming on, mate. I really appreciate you showing us around your golf sim, explaining how you built everything. The detail that you put into it is just phenomenal. So, once again, thank you very much for coming on, pal. And I hope that anybody watching this has got a load of value because you've given us a load of good insights there, pal.
No worries, mate. It's been my pleasure to show it up.